All right, so Ralph here, and I'm here with Kathy, also known as Kate, and we are going to do a really cool thing. I'm so excited to do this with you, and it's a way to clear the inner stuff, the mental, emotional, spiritual stuff, even stuff we don't know. And it's cool because we don't have to know the whole story. And so we're going to get right to it and see what changes for you. So I know you've talked about things that are ailing you, like your knees. And so what I'd like to do before we start is just have you do a little pre-test. So, maybe walk around, get a sense of, you've talked about your energy level and that sort of thing, kind of sense where you're at right now, so that in another 15, 20 minutes or so, we can just recheck. So just kind of, walk around, test how your neck moves, how your shoulders move, bend your back forward and back, see how your feet are on the ground, see how your knees move, your hips, see how your cat is.
Yeah, the cat is. Okay.
Yeah, the cat is. Yeah, just notice how you feel walking around and how limber or not limber you feel. Notice how tall you are. And by that, if you look out at this horizon, you can kind of sense how tall you are.
I'm very tall.
That's excellent. Good.
I'm 6'2". I'm very tall.
Are you really 6'2"?
I am.
Wow. You can't tell just on video,
No, I'm actually short from my shoulders to my waist, but when you throw the legs in there, I'm 6'2".
You got track star legs. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is think about something that pushes we could do it two ways. In fact, we might even do it two ways. Think about something that pushes your buttons, something you're working on that's like, oh, this frustration of this, or something that's up for you, a thing that causes you some angst. And let me know when you've got something, if there is something right now that's kind of up for you.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
Yep.
And you don't have to say anything about it, but if you want to, you could let us know a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, I'm just trying to edit some audio files, and I'm on a deadline, and I'm having a real trouble with the software, and it's making me kind of insane because what I want to do seems like super dumb and simple, and it isn't. Well, I think it is. I just don't know how to do it. So I'm really frustrated with that right now.
And the deadline, when is the deadline?
Oh, like in 2 hours.
Okay. So say, this is going to be funny, I think. So say for some reason, I keep you on the call for an hour and a half, and you're like, oh my God, I'm on the call for an hour and a half. And then time is taken away, and it's okay, time's done. And then time is down, you're down to your last 15 minutes, and it still hasn't been figured out. Kind of get a sense of like worst case scenario if this thing doesn't get handled in the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I just twinged. Yeah, like.
Yeah, think of that. Think of what it's like to go to sleep at night tonight, having not fixed it.
No, that just made me like.
Okay, so now you've done what we call poking the bear. You've kind of irritated this thing. You brought it to the surface, and so now let go of the thought. It was just stay out of your head for a moment, and then go inside your body and just notice what's happening in your body right now. So scan your body, head to pelvis, head to hips. You can include the arms and legs, but mostly that center part of your body, head to the pelvis. And what's happening in your body right now?
Oh no, it's shoulders. It's right. It's right. I mean, it's
Right
right
there? Okay.
Right there.
And in that spot, what is happening in that spot in this moment?
Oh, it's just sore and tight and yeah, I mean, it's stiff and
Okay. You're doing great. And so just for this moment, just keep your attention on that part of your body and the physical sensation of the tight, sore, and stiff part. So just without thoughts, without words, without trying to fix it, without trying to figure it out, staying out of your head, staying out of thoughts, just stay in your body and put your attention on the most intense part.
mm-hmm.
And you might notice, or people might notice on the video, I sometimes take a big breath. It's a healing breath. It's called an instant miracle. And so that might be what you notice with that. But for Kate, for Kathy, just keep your attention on the most intense part of the most intense part. That's right. That's right. And in that most intense part, what's happening in there right now?
Oh, it's tighter and it's kind of going up the neck more. So yeah, and it's it's deeper.
And where can you notice where the most intense of the most intense part is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and just keep your focus right there. And kind of like you're a reporter reporting from the scene, just keep your attention on there and notice what's happening there. Just stay curious of what's happening there. Not anticipating it or figuring out about it or thinking anything about it. Just kind of keep your attention on the most intense part of the most intense part. That's right. That's right. You're doing great. That's right. Notice the most intense part, kind of like you have a finger that's pointing right to the most intense part. That's right. And in that spot right now, what's happening in there?
Um, it's it's red and pulsating.
It's pulsating. So just notice that pulsating. Just stay curious. Get curious about that pulsating. Like, is it a certain frequency? Is it a rhythmic frequency or is it changing?
Oh no, it's steady. It's a um a boom, 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 boom. It's that kind of.
Okay, you're doing great. Stay with it. Just stand with it. It's kind of like you're pulling up a little lawn chair next to it and you're just going to be there with it. And keep your attention on it, totally noticing it. Full attention on that. That's right. That's right. You're doing great. Staying out of your head, staying out of thoughts, staying in your body. That's right. That's right. What's happening in your body right now?
It's kind of elongating a little bit.
That's right. And notice the most intense part. Keep your attention right on the most intense part. That's right. You're doing great. Yeah, that's right. What's happening in your body right now?
It's loosening.
And even as it's loosening, keep your focus on the part that's the most intense, even if it's less. That's right. And in that spot that's the most intense, notice the most intense part of it. And in that spot, in this moment, what's happening?
It's more pea-sized.
Pea-sized, okay. And you just keep staying curious, what is the shape of that pea-sized thing? What's the density of it? Is there difference in one part of that pea-sized area than the other part?
No, it's pretty symmetrical, and it's just blood cell looking in terms of color.
Okay, and then you just keep your attention on the physical sensation. It's okay if you see something, just keep your attention on the physical feeling. And kind of like as if it was a rose that wasn't open, see if there's a little seam somewhere in that pea-sized area where as if you had your fingernail and you could just get it in between a little seam of that pea-sized area to get your fingernail right into the most intense part of the most intense part, to touch that part with your intention. That's right. And in that part, pour love into that part. Not to fix it, just to pour love into that part. Just to be totally present, noticing it. Completely present to it. Whatever it does is fine. Whatever it does is perfect. Whether it gets more intense, less intense, or changes. Keep your full attention on that. What's happening in your body right now?
I mean, it stopped pulsating.
And notice what's happening in your body right now. And what is happening in your body right now?
Tingling isn't the right word, but I mean, there's some kind of shift, let's put it that way. It's not tingling, but I can definitely feel I guess for lack of a better term, an energetic shift, for lack of a better description of it.
Okay, and can you tell where it is in your body?
Oh, it's all over.
Oh, it's all over. And what about that spot in your shoulder area?
Yeah, it's interestingly, it's not as much there. It's like around my head and my limbs more than that spot.
And so, yes, in that spot that was there in the shoulder, is there something happening in that spot right now?
It's just less intense.
And so the part that is still, so is there some intensity there?
Not really. I mean, like, so before it was a because it's the neck and the, you know, back area, everything's connected. So it was, you know, it was in that spot, but it was radiating in that whole area.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not radiating throughout that area anymore.
And when you compare it to the left side, how does it feel?
I mean, it's still a little stiffer than the left side, but
Okay, put your attention on that little bit of stiffer part. Just kind of lean in with your attention, kind of like you're listening to a really distant conversation or something, except with your awareness of this physical sensation. Just kind of lean into that with your attention where there's a little something there. Just put your attention there. That's right. That's right. And notice, even if it's just a bit, not, you know, even if it's less intense, notice the most intense part of whatever is there, if something is there.
Mhm.
Mm. And what's happening in that area right now?
nothing.
Okay, so you can take a little break, relax a bit, and think of, when you think about like this project with this edit thing, and there's a deadline coming up, and you're sitting here doing this, and not, instead of doing that, you know, it's coming up in less than 2 hours now. When you think of it right now, is there any angst?
No.
Yes, I'll explain something in a moment, but I want you to check something now. So walk around and notice what you notice. Like check all those things you were taking before. Your
Such a
neck.
Mary Morrissey saying, notice what you notice. She says that's the number one thing for transformation.
It really is.
Notice what you notice.
That's funny. That's how I've heard that from a different source. Maybe they got it from Mary Morrissey.
Well, Jim Rohn only
Yeah, for right now, just walk around, test everything, and then let's recheck.
my knees definitely feel better. The knees definitely feel better.
How like percentage better? How much better are your knees?
Oh, 40% better.
40% better. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah, and even though we talked earlier that there seems to be some physical components that we want to fix up on that, it's like you went and cleared something in you, and you're physically your knees are 40% better. That was like that success story I told you about that we got today.
Yeah.
So what's going on with this is, who knows all the things that are going on, but basically when we have an obstacle, and especially like what you're talking about with this edit, and it's bringing up some angst, then what happens, we can, instead of trying to fix it, we still want to do stuff in the physical world, but what we can do is notice the angst. So there's something going on, and if it's a really big something going on, especially if it's a pattern that's been there, like this kind of stuff happens over and over and over again, then it's like, okay, whatever that is, that event, that situation, that thing that brings up angst, what people do is they have a feeling. It's like, like betrayal has a feeling. It's in your gut, or, in your heart, or, somebody hurts you on purpose, or you lose the job, or you lose the money, or you didn't make the sale. Your lover leaves you. It's like, it hurts inside, and it's an actual physical feeling. And so what we tend to do is we stuff it down because we don't want to feel that. And so, and then what happens with that is all these thoughts come up, and all these beliefs, and all these programmings. And if it's connected to stuff that's happened throughout the years, it's got a big web. And we could learn about all these different things of what we think it means, and go to all sorts of people to try to fix it. But even if we figured out all the things of why it happened, it's just the booby prize. It still doesn't fix it. You just know more of why it's a problem. So instead, what we do is we go to the actual feeling that came up when you got a certain sort of trauma, a certain sort of thing, and then your consciousness, your attention is consciousness, and it's noticing this thing, and it's just purely noticing it. And what happens is that feeling gets to be felt. It gets to tell its story and gets to be felt, but without like our conscious brain trying to fix it. And when it's done being felt, then you go back and you think it's done at that point. What happens is you think of the problem like, oh, I've got these edits and I got this thing and I'm at peace. That's interesting. And so it's what all the sages talk about for all these centuries is like, to be at peace with something, to be at peace if you don't get something, to be at peace if it happens, to be at peace if it doesn't happen. And then what happens is the negative thoughts and beliefs and patterns instantly, years and years of stuff is gone. And we know it because it no longer pushes buttons. And what shows up instead is all the goodness. So then synchronicity, serendipity. So I'd be real interested to see what happens with the edit thing. But it's how stuff.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's how stuff starts to happen, and life can be more magical. And then we still get to do stuff in the physical world, but it works. Instead of like, oh, it's this old pattern, this never works for me, sort of stuff. So those marginalized people that you help so much, this could be such a big tool because they've got years of ways things have been, and patterns and beliefs and thoughts, and learning to go inside, like the sages say, be still and know that I am God, be here now, all those kind of things. It's a real accessible way to do it, which is basically notice what you notice, but notice what you notice in your body, and notice what you notice without the words and without the judgments and without calling it anything and without trying to fix it, just to sit with it. And so that's what you did. So now that your mind can go, okay, I guess I'll do this really boring thing. It's like you gotta give our mind a reason to do something that's this simple, because it's so easy to talk ourselves out of it. Yeah. So walk around one more time just to feel what it feels like. I'm just curious. I'll do my opera voice.
My puppies think that I'm coming after them.
It's time for a walk.
Yeah, they feel good.
Awesome. So how good do they feel?
Oh God. You can stop recording now, but I would.
You want me to stop recording? I'll stop recording.